Is it possible to shoot a crossbow from horseback? Who would even want to try this? How common was it in the historical record, and how common was it in the artwork of the time? We know that as early as the Han and continuing into the Song, that the crossbow was used primarily on foot, but also on horseback. Emperor Maximilian preferred it for hunting purposes, and he reigned from 1493 to 1519. He preferred it over the pistol during his big game hunts. We can see it depicted in a Mameluke treaty in which the user of the crossbow is seen carrying it almost in a couch position, almost similar to a lance, and it's believed that this would help with greater accuracy. The belt and claw method could be used from horseback, as well as you could span it from the stirrup, that is to say the stirrup of the crossbow. Goat's foot levers could also be used. Sir John Smithy, as late as 1590, wrote, "I would that they should have crossbows of 2 pound and a half of the best sort, with crooked gaffles hanging at their strong girdles." He goes on to suggest that this was the German manner of using crossbows from horseback, and bear in mind how late this is, certainly well into the advance of gunpowder. Also, it's worth noting that 2 pound and a half could mean a shorthand for a 250-pound draw weight, though we're not sure. Even Talhofer depicts a civilian man shooting in civilian clothes the crossbow from the side, suggesting that this could have been used in German trial by combat. Judicial combat was common in Germany during this time. Another thing to bear in mind looking at the image is that he has his left hand free to manage the reins of the horse. As far as the application, we have to rely a little bit on speculation, but there are various uses in which the crossbow could be used. It could be used in somewhat of a dragoon style, that is to say that you would ride up to the opponent and then dismount in order to use the crossbow. Another thing is it could be a one-shot weapon where you would use the crossbow once or maybe a couple times, and then you could resort to your secondary weapon. Another option would be to attack the enemy with a crossbow and then to retreat to safety in order to reload. Smithy, writing in 1964, even goes so far as to suggest that the crossbow could be reloaded while at speed on the horseback, though it would require a lot of training. And that brings us to one of the advantages of the crossbow, which is that it would require less training, even on horseback, although it would have been rather difficult, but it would have allowed for less training than a mounted archer, which is quite involved and would have taken years, if not a lifetime of training. An obvious disadvantage would be the rate of fire. The rate of fire is, of course, going to be slower with a crossbow, especially from horseback, compared with mounted archers, but they could be used to supplement mounted archers, and they could be even used in conjunction with one another, where the mounted crossbowmen would give you an advantage early on, just in regards to the rate of fire, and then they could retreat to safety while the mounted archers could continue on the fight, or while other cavalry could proceed with a melee charge. Also bear in mind that the archers could have melee weapons as well, so they could be used kind of almost more as skirmisher type forces, where they could unload the crossbow maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times, and then proceed to melee combat. So yeah, guys, using a crossbow from horseback, it definitely did happen, perhaps more than you might think, but as you might expect, it's not all over in the artwork and as well as historical documents. But it certainly did happen, and it did have its uses both on the battlefield and also for hunting as well. Lastly, there's a gentleman who goes by the title of the historical archer, or the historical archery, and he goes into greater length of specifically the Chinese crossbow and how it could be used from horseback and what that might look like, and he demonstrates it. So I'd recommend giving him a look, checking out his video, and I'll leave the link in the description as well.